guys? Episode 119 is continuing on with, of course, the Raw review. Things look a little different because I'm by myself. That's because work schedules suck. I've barely slept the last couple days. Me and Kevin Hawk have had varying work schedules, so to make this easier on both of us, I'm doing this video by myself. He will be back for the SmackDown Rundown, so be sure to look forward to that. But I'm talking all about Raw. This is the go-home show to Clash of Champions, so you'll be getting our predictions later this week. This is also the debut of the Cruiserweights, so we got a lot of stuff going on. Let's get rid of the non-important stuff out of the way first. Bo Dallas continuing his jobber thing, beating a guy named Gary Graham. I don't understand the dark Dr. Seuss thing that Bo is doing. It's made me go back to the time when I didn't like Bo Dallas. I didn't like him initially when he came in, and then, the whole social outcast thing and him being goofy with that group made me kind of enjoy him. But now it's gotten to a point where they've started over and it just doesn't make sense, and I don't enjoy it anymore. So let's do something different with Bo. Let's team him up with Curtis Axel or something, because Curtis Axel's not doing anything. Let's make another tag team. Let's bring back the social outcasts. I don't know. Regardless. We also had Braun Strowman taking on Sin Cara. This match, obviously a rematch from the last time, but this one I feel like it kind of lent itself a little bit more to show the improvements that Braun Strowman's making. He's a lot quicker. His timing is better. The ending was really great because he ends up, Sin Cara runs back into the ring and Braun chases after him, and as he gets back into the ring, he's actually able to get up, catch Sin Cara out of a moonsault, then hit a running power slam and beat Sin Cara that way. So it's showing that, not only is Braun Strowman dominant, but he has a lot of quickness. He's got good timing. I think he's improving a lot more. So I'm enjoying Braun Strowman's stuff in the ring. We also had match 6 between Cesaro and Sheamus. If you didn't already know that this was going to happen, Cesaro wins. He ties it up 3-3. He ends up stopping the battering ram that Sheamus does over the top rope. It's a really wonky uppercut that kind of catches Sheamus in the midsection, which, weird. Just wrong placement for Cesaro maybe, or I don't know, bad timing, whatever it was. A little wonky, but then he ends up hitting like half a neutralizer and pins Sheamus, making it 3-3, and Mick Foley officially makes the match number 7 for, guess what? Clash of Champions. So you'll find that on our predictions later on in the week. Let's see, what else did we have? It was some weird stuff tonight. Let's talk about the ladies. So we had Charlotte and Dana Brooke reveal the double pin that we talked about last week in the triple threat match to determine who would face Charlotte at Clash of Champions. And so, they go over the tape. It shows that Sasha does the jackknife pin. She puts her shoulders down. And so Dana tries to swerve it in, hey, well, neither of them won, so we should just... They're set to have a tag team match. It's supposed to be Sasha and Bayley versus Charlotte and Dana. Dana says, let's just get rid of the tag team match. We'll have Sasha versus Bayley, and whoever wins gets to lose to Charlotte this Sunday at Clash of Champions. And Mick's like, okay, you're right, neither of them really lost, but they both kind of won, and so you're not even in the picture. So what we'll do is instead we'll just have Charlotte face both of them, making it officially a triple threat match, and the tag team match is still on. Tag team match was great. Still a lot of, Charlotte wanting Dana to do a lot of the work. We had a quick backstage segment between Bayley and Sasha that kind of put them at odds a little bit, where Bayley's really excited for the triple threat because it's like, oh, remember back in NXT when we all used to have these epic matches and everything, and Sasha's like, yeah, that was cool back then, and you and I made history, but now I want to make history myself. I want to have a one-on-one match with Charlotte. So we'll see how that goes, but they kind of mended up. They're like, hey, we'll go out there, we'll be a team, blah blah blah. And they still worked very well together. Both teams worked really well together. And it was a solid tag team match. Dana, I'm so impressed with how much better she is. I think she's really found her spot not only in the ring but as a character. So she's annoying, but in a good heel way, where it's not like, oh my god, get off my TV screen. Yeah. So overall, great match. Interesting end though. I didn't expect it to go this way. Very clever though, because Bayley tries to go for a belly to Bayley on Charlotte, but Dana, who's on the outside, actually grabs the leg and stops the move from happening. So so she ends up getting pulled in the ring. Bayley tries to like stomp on her. She rolls back out, gets taken out by Sasha, but at the same time Sasha's taking out Dana, Bayley turns into a big boot from Charlotte, which was an interesting way for it to end. Maybe I missed something where it like added to something that happened, but the big boot actually gives Charlotte and Dana the win. And then you see Sasha's kind of upset, and Bayley's just down on the fact that she got bested by these two. So despite the tension between Charlotte and Dana, they work together pretty well. The question is Dana going to be instrumental in the triple threat match this Sunday? We'll have to wait and find out. Not really sure how that's all going to play out. We had some tag team stuff too. This was a very bizarre segment. So a little bit of spoiler of what happens in like the main storyline is that Kevin Owens gets put in a match that he doesn't want to be a part of, and so Chris Jericho takes offense. So he spends the night making a list of all the things that Mick Foley is doing wrong as the general manager of Raw. And he's talking, he comes in at the same time that Mick makes the match number 7 between Sheamus and Cesaro, and just starts listing all these things. Like, oh, you have terrible fashion sense, and you're stealing catchphrases and all these things. And so Mick is just kind of annoyed at this point. He's getting ready to leave to go do some sort of business, and he's like, fine, then if you're not going to stand here and listen to me, I'm going to go tell the world. So we get very much WCW type Jericho, where he was reading the list of all the submission moves that he knew, and so he wants to start listing off all of these terrible things that Mick Foley's doing, and he calls it the list of Jericho, which is clever. So he starts pointing out, he's like, oh, I'm going to put fans on the list. I'm going to put someone like Sami Zayn on the list, which you'd think that Sami Zayn would come out at this point. Instead, we get Enzo and Cass, where Enzo starts making jokes at Jericho, and so then they end up, obviously they have their own feud, so then the Shining Stars come out. Okay, so that makes sense. So we should get a 6-man tag where Jericho would team with the Shining Stars to take on Enzo, Cass, and Sami Zayn. Well, instead, the New Day come out because they're the tag team champions, and they came out because they had nothing better to do. Big E even said that. And so they're like, oh, well, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And they're going to do their jokes. It was funny, doing their thing. Then they mention the club, so, okay, here come Gallows and Anderson. They come out, they start saying their piece, so you've just got this group of guys in the ring, just all chaos, and Jericho is just fed up because they've invaded his segment. He leaves and he goes, you know what, I'm putting all of you on the list, you're all stupid idiots, I'm starting a new list, you're all stupid idiots. He starts making his way up the ring, or up the ramp, and then Sami Zayn comes out, attacks Jericho, tosses him in the ring, and then it's just a melee of people fighting. We come back from commercial, and out of this whole situation, we have ourselves a 10-man tag team match, where on one side we have Kofi, Big E, Enzo, Cass, and Sami Zayn taking on the club, the Shining Stars, and Chris Jericho, who's wrestling in his leather pants and a belt buckle. Holy shit. Like, leather pants, I can't imagine. I've never worn leather pants, but I can't imagine they're easy to move in, let alone wrestle. And then he's got that belt buckle. Props to you, Jericho, for just deciding, I'm going to go wrestle in this. Awesome. Do it. It works. And it's better than your little tights. I don't like that. I like Jericho in pants. I've always preferred that attire for Jericho anyway. So just like the segment before, absolute, utter chaos. Just bodies flying everywhere, just all kinds of stuff happening. We get a point where everyone's getting tossed out of the ring and everyone's getting, low bridged and just all of this chaos. And at this point, I have forgotten who is the legal person in this match, which apparently it was Primo and Cass. I don't know when that happened. I lost track. But eventually, we get Primo in the corner with Jericho in front of him. Sammy goes for a haluva kick on Jericho. Jericho ducks out of the way. So Primo gets the haluva kick. And then Cass comes in and tags in Enzo. They hit air Enzo on Primo. So the face team picks up the win. There's so much happening here. This is like 3 different... I guess it makes sense there's 3 different feuds going on, because you got the Sammy, Jericho, you got New Day and the Club, and then you've got Enzo and Cass versus the Shining Stars. So, I guess in theory it makes sense, but it was a weird order. Maybe I'm just, expecting it to be, very... I don't know. I'm expecting it to make more sense, and I shouldn't do that, apparently. But yeah, regardless, the match was chaos. It was fun, but didn't do a whole lot to really amp up any of these feuds. We might get a tag team match between Enzo and Cass and the Shining Stars. We know we have the tag team titles on the line, Club versus New Day, and we know that we have Sami Zayn versus Jericho all this Sunday. I don't know what's happening there. Speaking of stuff that is happening on Sunday, the kickoff was announced. It'll actually be Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax, a rematch from last week's Raw after Nia just blasted Alicia through the barricade. So that should be good. I mean, they didn't really get to do much on Raw last week, so hopefully being on the pre-show, they'll actually get a little bit of time, see what else they can do, and hopefully build towards something else. And I do believe... Let me just double check my notes here. Yes, that brings us to the most important part of Raw. No, I'm not even talking about the overarching storyline. I'm talking about the debut of the Cruiserweight division. This was kind of built up through the night. We had Brian Kendrick, we had Cedric Alexander, we had Rich Swann, we had Grand Metalik, we had a little look at TJ Perkins. All these video packages throughout the night. All building to this moment. This is what Mick Foley was leaving Chris Jericho for, was to talk about the Cruiserweights. So he comes out, and he introduces Rich Swann, Grand Metalik, Cedric Alexander, and Brian Kendrick. I was surprised to not see TJ Perkins on the show. Kind of disappointed by that, actually. I didn't realize how much I actually liked TJ Perkins. And I was kind of expecting him to, at least be there with the belt to kind of represent what this is for, because Mick Foley ends up making a fatal 4-way to determine who's going to face TJ Perkins on Sunday, because it is Clash of Champions, so all the titles have to be on the line. Of course. By far, match of the night, the most indie-style match I've seen on Raw in a long time. You have the matches that, me and Kevin Hawk talk about, Owens versus Zayn whenever it happened, Owens versus Ambrose, Owens and Neville, stuff like that. Stuff where there's feuds that have come from the indies that are kind of being redone on the main roster, and to see these 4 just be able to go balls to the wall on Raw was the absolute best way they could have started this. Because you get these 4 guys who, literally, if you saw any part of the Cruiserweight Classic, you know what happened in this match, because they just went fucking apeshit in this match. The dives to the outside, the Grand Metalik walking the ropes, the aggression of Brian Kendrick, Cedric Alexander. I gotta admit, it is so cool to see Cedric Alexander on Raw. I just realized, how much of a turnaround year he had. Leaving Ring of Honor earlier this year, spending a very short time on the indies, and now all of a sudden is in WWE. It's been a good year for Cedric Alexander. He's had he's skyrocketed in popularity. So good for him. Rich Swann, entertaining as hell. Hitting just these amazing flips over Grand Metalik, hitting the standing 450 on Cedric Alexander. Just fantastic stuff from all of these guys, and they're all this is them representing a group of guys. The guys we didn't even see, like T.J. Perkins and Noam Dar and Lindsay Dorado. Like, we didn't see anything about them on in depth. We didn't see them on Raw at all. So these guys are really setting the bar at what the Cruiserweight division is all about, and they did a fantastic job of doing that. And the ending, holy shit. Actually, one move that I want to talk about, like, Brian Kendrick went for sliced bread number 2 on Rich Swann. Ended up getting caught by Grand Metalik, and as Rich Swann dropped, he still turned the catch from Grand Metalik into a tornado DDT on Grand Metalik. So he turned a reverse DDT into a tornado DDT on a completely different person. Amazing. So we have this moment where Rich Swann gets taken out on the outside. Cedric Alexander ends up hitting the lumbar check on Grand Metalik. That takes Metalik out because he'd actually been getting his back worked on quite a bit during the match. And so as Alexander kind of thinks he's got this, he's taking out Grand Metalik. He turns around, runs at Brian Kendrick, who's able to wrap him up and give him that inverted headlock takeover and lock in the bully choke. And Brian Kendrick makes Cedric Alexander tap out and will be the first person to challenge for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. So that is probably that one, and then Seth versus Kevin Owens is probably the 2 matches I'm looking forward to the most on Sunday. Super excited for those ones. So now we'll talk about the overarching storyline, which opened up with Roman Reigns complaining about the interference from not only Seth Rollins, but also Rusev. He's looking for revenge. He doesn't get to say, he literally gets to start and then immediately gets interrupted by Stephanie. Stephanie comes out and says, hey, I know you probably want to run through and just destroy everyone, but me and Mick have come up with an idea. As soon as she says that, Mick comes out, and Mick goes, yeah, get up. Quit begging for attention, Roman. You're not allowed to face the camera. Nice going. Mick says, yeah, we do have an idea. Actually, it was my idea. So what we're gonna do is, because they both interfered last week, we're gonna put both Seth Rollins and Rusev in a match against each other. Punk, what in the world are you just hanging out with Danny Bryan? We're gonna put them in a match. That's kind of their punishment. I'm not really sure how it's a punishment. I guess both of them have matches on Sunday because Roman Reigns is officially getting a United States Championship match against Rusev. Stephanie tries to suck up yeah, I'm really glad that you're getting that, and Roman doesn't trust her. But Mick Foley goes on this really weird raw we need to be the Raw family speech. It was really weird. I don't know why this needed to be a thing. He's just trying to get everyone on the same page, and I think maybe it's just to deflect the interference from Triple H a couple weeks ago. But regardless, he's like, I'm gonna make Raw better. I'm gonna make things better, and I'm gonna do that by giving Roman a rematch against Kevin Owens tonight. And Stephanie's like, well, or no. Then Owens comes out and goes, wait, why is he getting a match against me? And Stephanie's like, don't worry, it's not gonna be a title match. And Foley's like, okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's not gonna be a title match, but it is gonna be a cage match. And so, I don't know if anybody really won in this situation. Maybe Roman Reigns, because he gets to beat up Kevin Owens in a cage. But this was just, I don't know, I didn't really feel anything out of this particular segment. And this went directly into the very first match of the night was Seth Rollins versus Rusev. Fantastic match, great on both ends. Unfortunately, it ended in a double countout where they ended up fighting up the ramp. They fought over by the commentary table, and then Seth did a crossbody off of the commentator table to Rusev to the floor, which is actually a very unimpressive distance. I thought it was actually taller. It's barely. I don't even think it's as tall as the ring. It was okay. It was kind of a lackluster ending to what was actually a really decent match because Rollins is so athletic and Rusev is such a great base that I thought they really worked off of each other. It was also cool to see Seth Rollins wrestling like a babyface. Actually selling moves and being the one that's getting beat down. Getting the sympathy points. It's cool to see that happen. Then we moved on. Then we had the Jericho thing, and then the next episode. Then we have Seth Rollins who ends up going to Stephanie's office and is trying to get her to confess that she knew exactly what Triple H was doing. He's like, we had a lot of good times in this office. You, me, Triple H, the authority. Like, we had some great times. I just don't understand why you let that all go and you're giving it to Kevin Owens. And she's like, no, I had no idea that Kevin Owens was going to do that. And what? And then she starts to get defensive, and she's like, it's because Rollins is like, well, maybe if you're if you're gonna go and be on Owens' side, maybe I'll win the championship and I'll be the Universal Champion that you can't control. And she's like, oh, well, you know what? Do I think that Kevin Owens is the best person to be the champion? Yes. Do I think that he's the best choice to lead Raw in the the Battle of the Brands? Yes. And then she finishes off by saying, do I think that he has replaced Seth Rollins as the man? Yes, I do. And this was the best part of this story. I love the building tension between Stephanie and Seth, because regardless if Stephanie was privy to the fact that Triple H was going to get himself involved in that match, there is now so much tension that she can just turn and it's either, oh yeah, we knew it, or maybe she wasn't in agreement all along and Seth actually turned her against him. Regardless, great chemistry between the two of them. I really enjoy the on-screen abilities of both of them to play off of each other, and the transition from heel to babyface is very subtle for Seth. So he's still able to kind of act like a douche, but it's towards someone who people kind of revere as a bitch. So it works on both levels, and it's enjoyable to watch. And I do believe that will lead us to our main event, which was the cage match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. It was the thing. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't anything like, oh man, I've never seen that in a cage match before. It's cool to see a cage match on Raw. That's about as much as I can say about it. Plus the ending was a little lame, because this isn't something that happens a lot in cage matches, so it gets points there, but no one really gave a shit, I think, because so there's a lot of like fighting for the door, there's a lot of no, you can't get over the top, there's a lot of pinfalls, there's Roman Reigns kicks out of the pop-up powerbomb, stuff like that. So there's a lot of good like tension building through it, like what's going to happen, who's going to win, and then they do, like, it ends up getting to a point where I think Roman drops Owens with a Superman punch, and then he starts climbing, and instead of Owens getting up and going after Roman, he starts crawling towards the door. So then we have the race of who's going to get out first, and Roman gets to the top of the cage as Owens gets to the door, and then we have all of a sudden Roman Reigns gets over real fast and drops, and Kevin Owens can't crawl out of the door real fast. Okay, Roman picks up a win, gives him a little bit of momentum heading into his United States Championship match. Puts a little bit of tension on Kevin Owens, like, oh man, I didn't want to be in this match and I lost. Rusev attacks, starts beating up Roman Reigns, takes him around over to the front of the cage, where all of a sudden Kevin Owens is back in. Kevin Owens ends up like kicking the door into Roman's face. They end up tossing Roman back into the cage. Rusev brought out a chain that they end up using to lock the cage. There's a double, 2-on-1 beatdown. Roman is, just getting beat up, ends up getting put in the accolade. We have Seth Rollins, who comes to make the save, but it was really just him wanting to get involved. Ends up doing a big crossbody from the top rope, from the top of the cage onto both Rusev and Kevin Owens, and then we fade out on Seth Rollins, just kind of like holding his ribs and a down Roman Reigns and all that stuff, and it was just like there was some good stuff in the overall storyline, but I don't feel like it was executed very well. Luckily, I did already want to see Seth versus Owens, so I mean they didn't really have to sell me on that match, but they didn't sell me on Roman versus Rusev, which shouldn't even. I mean, they had their chance at SummerSlam and it didn't happen. I don't know why we pushed this back. I don't know. So, did Raw suck? No. Was Raw amazing? No. It had its moments. Ladies did awesome. The cruiserweights were so much fun to watch. The tension between Stephanie and Seth. That's about it. Those were about the selling points of Monday Night Raw. So the question is, are they going to be able to deliver at Clash of Champions the same way that SmackDown did at Backlash? We'll find out next week. For now, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Click all the links down in the description. SoundCloud is working, so if you want to check out indie news, Raw reviews, SmackDown rundown, or midweek wrap-up in podcast form, you can head to SoundCloud. For those of you listening on SoundCloud, hit the YouTube link because you want to come over here for the extra videos you get this week, which will be the Clash of Champions predictions. And I do believe that's going to be the only one this week. But if you want even more video content, head over to Reasonable Wrestling Fans. That link is down in the description, regardless of where you're watching or listening to us. You'll get all of our YouTubier type stuff. You get unboxing videos, you get debate videos, you get reaction videos, you get rant videos, and most recently we've been keeping these wagers going with pay-per-views. If you want to check out my punishment for losing SummerSlam, you can head over and watch me get hit with a kendo stick. That hurt like hell, but I got my redemption. Go check out the Backlash punishment where I get to make Kevin Hawk drink something nasty. Go check that out. Go check out all the other videos. Check out all the videos here. Check out the playlist. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next. Fuck Bo Dallas?